this the end of the world?
On 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, guys, we are back once again with Dead End Drive-In. I'm Flesh Wound Dan, joined by Dirk. How is it going, Dirk?
Oh, pretty good, man. Glad to be here.
It's glad to have you back. And Darren, the second half of Subjective Perspective Collective. How are you doing tonight?
Yeah, very well, and happy to be here again. Yep.
Yeah, tonight or this morning, I don't know what the case it is for you. Probably late night for you right now, right?
2 a.m. for me.
2 a.m. Okay.
Oh shit. Okay.
Yeah. Sometimes that works
I'm
out.
used to it.
Yeah, it kind of works out for me and a lot of people in the UK because I have weird hours. So usually people are up. You know, they might be having, lunch while, it's like deep into dinner time for me or something. But yeah,
Right.
Usually it works out.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy because these are obviously my two picks, I guess, and they're both like I wasn't even thinking about that, but they're both of like the fantastique genre.
Yeah.
You'd say.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're tackling two directors that I'm very, very fond of. And I've always had an obsession with Jess Franco, going back years. And I don't know exactly where it started. I can't tell you the first film I saw. I will say the film Vampiros Lesbos, which we'll talk about in a moment, was among the originals that I did see. And I became obsessed with him. He was called the most dangerous filmmaker in the world by the Vatican at one point. So he's got that that tag going for him.
He was kicked out of Spain, right?
He was the Franco, no relation, obviously, regime made it very, very hard for him, which is why quite a few of his films, we might say Spanish horror or Spanish sexploitation, but a lot of the stuff he made was shot in, Germany or elsewhere. Of course, he did circle back, and once that regime had passed into, making Spanish films. But Jess Franco was a man who traveled the world and shot stuff all over the place, and over 200 films.
Yeah.
And I know he gets shit on a lot. I'm not going to tell you every movie that he made was gold, but
Right.
He was somebody who had incredible highs, made a lot of very big prestige films. Maybe not prestige is the word, but prestige within the horror genre. Some of his early stuff, Awful Dr. Orloff was a huge hit in the 60s. Diabolical Dr. Z, a lot of that really early films. And the movie that we're going to talk about tonight kind of represents a crossover into the Jess Franco that I feel like a lot of people know. Vampiros Lesbos is kind of, we're still in the pre-crotch zoom era of Jess Franco. We're still a little bit classy at this point, although it is a lesbian vampire movie. And
and it's his first. It's his first lesbian themed, I guess, lesbian theme type film. I mean, and
not the last. There were a lot of lesbians.
Yeah. I was listening to him on an interview. He was saying, I love beautiful women. I love vampires. It's like, let's do this. You know, I love the relationship of lesbians. I was like, okay,
yeah. Let's just do it. I'll read the synopsis real quick because obviously I'm geeking out here.
Okay, sorry.
Oh no, that's my fault. I love Jess Franco. So from Jess Franco, the filmmaker the Vatican called the most dangerous director in the world, comes the most celebrated movie of his legendary career. Stunning Soledad Miranda stars as a vixen vampire who lures women to a Mediterranean island to satisfy her insatiable lust for female flesh and blood. It's a mind-bending odyssey of surreal erotica and 70s Euro horror featuring the psycho-sexadelic soundtrack that remains a global phenomenon to this day. All right, so
that soundtrack, holy shit.
You know, it's interesting because the psychedelic score to this was a big hit in the mid 90s, the lounge music revival of the mid 90s, and this was quite popular. I'm sure a lot of people that never watched or would watch Vampiros Lesbos were blasting the CD, and you know, around that era, I feel again is where Franco was being discovered for the first time. Even some of his newer films at the time from Sub Rosa, who were distributing a lot of his movies, a lot of which were remakes essentially of some of his more popular films. He liked to return to the well quite a bit with the Dr. Orloff character and cherry picking different characters from Dracula, even though it's not necessarily a Dracula film. And there's a lot that we can start out with here with the film, but I do first want to kick this off and talk about Soledad Miranda.
Yeah, man. Much deserved. She needs some love.
She very much deserves all the love in the world, because before Lena Romay, there was Soledad Miranda, who was his go-to. And what's really bizarre, she dies in 1970, so she's dead before a lot of her Franco stuff that she arguably would be known more for today even comes out. And Franco talks about her. She was his muse. A lot of people think they were together. They actually weren't. She was married at this time.
Right.
In fact, she died.
Yes.
Yeah, but he refers to her as his muse, I think. Yeah, I think anybody that worked with Soledad was in love with her. Yeah.
I know she started. She was in his in his third film, which was her first film when she was like 16.
Yeah,
and it was called Queen of the Tabarin Club, I believe.
Yeah, Lorena del Tabarin. So that's probably the translation in 1960.
Yep.
So yeah, it goes back a decade, and that was a musical. It was Jess Franco's first big break in film, which started in the 50s. So Jess Franco could have had a very different career at certain points. Soledad Miranda was at this time, this is Jess Franco coming right off Count Dracula, and Soledad had a role in that. She was loved by everybody. Christopher Lee put her over.
He did. Franco said that everybody just fell in love with her. Like, even the co-star in this film that he said was difficult.
Ewa Stromberg. Yes.
Stromberg, yeah. He said that she was not very good. That's what he said. But he said that Soledad was amazing, and that everybody, no matter what, just fell in love with her. So she
had a very unique talent. I don't know where her career would have gone. If she kind of had her big break a little bit earlier, I absolutely could have seen her being a Barbara Steele type. She was just breathtaking, just those eyes. Now, again, the movies she did with Franco at the beginning here are more on the erotic side. You know, Barbara Steele never did anything like that, obviously. But yeah, this is coming at a turnover time for Jess Franco. He's under contract with Arthur Bronner, an extremely wealthy man from Germany, producer who made over 300 movies, and they both loved Soledad. They were trying to set her up to be a huge
international,
star.
International superstar. Yeah.
Yes, they wanted to kind of slowly build her up to be the next big thing. And I'll be honest, I would have been really curious to see what would have happened. I mean, hard to not picture her in a James Bond movie at some point, you know, like if nothing else.
Absolutely.
She was in a Burt Reynolds film, a very small role, 100 Rifles. But yeah, man, it's like, because I was listening to Franco talk about her, and he's right. He said she didn't really know culture that much, but she just had this great intuition, and she could feel any role that she played. Like, he didn't really have to tell her what to do, too much. So
yeah, looks wise, she's up there for me with like Edwidge Fenech, Barbara Boucher. I mean, she's got such an iconic look to her. And I think, like, with the accident that happened, I would have loved to have seen her gone on and starred in a lot of giallo films.
Really is.
I think she would have been a major, major star, like Dan said. And I mean, she's one of the main reasons to watch this film, I think, for me personally.
Yeah, for sure.
Breathtakingly beautiful, man.
And that Curse of 27 thing, man, that's what popped in my mind, because she died at 27 in a car crash, and she didn't die right away. It was like a bad skull fracture, and then she lived a little bit, but she was in a coma and then died.
Her husband, I think, was barely touched. I think he might have broke his arm or something, and very tragic. Just to kind of talk a little bit more about Soledad before I jump into the movie. I mean, she had a career before Franco. She started with him technically in that tiny role she had in that musical, but she's also in a horror film from 1964 called Pyro, The Thing Without a Face, which was actually a Spanish-U.S. co-production with Barry Sullivan, the star. That one's actually easy to come by too, because it's Troma distributed it on DVD and VHS. And I do recommend that if you're looking for another film to see her in.
I definitely want to get all her horror for sure. I don't have it all. But,
there is a website, and I don't have it off the top of my head, but I will post it in the comments of this video, that does have some of her early stuff. Obviously not in the greatest quality, and some of them I don't even know if they have English subs. But if you're really wanting to do a deep dive on Soledad Miranda, I'll post that for you in the comments.
I know she did a bunch of kind of like teen she was typecast. They played her. She got a lot of these bland roles, like early on, because
she did. Yeah, she really did. I mean, she wasn't known very well outside of Europe, but her first lead role was in a film called Canción de Cuna, which was a musical. That was like her first big lead role. She did Carrito de la Cruz, which was like a bullfight film. Again, a lot of that's
her favorite. I think she said that was her favorite, right?
Yes.
I believe. Yeah.
Yes. She kind of had a bit of a prestige career early on. She was in The Sound of Horror with Ingrid Pitt, which is one that, you know, some of you watching this show might be more familiar with. She did a spaghetti Western called Sugar Colt in 1966. She even did some pop records, which you can also find on this website. So be sure to check out the comment.
It's called Ya music or something. Right?
Yeah. So, Spanish pop music of the 60s. And she kind of retires in 1967. She had a son with her husband. She briefly retires until she gets this small role in a Burt Reynolds Western that you referenced earlier called 100 Rifles. And ends up reconnecting with Jess Franco, and she got that run that we all kind of know her for. And once again, Arthur Browner wanted to make her the next Sophia Loren, offered her a massive contract, and literally, I mean, this is as tragic as it gets. She dies on her way to sign.
Yeah.
Oh my God. No.
Yeah, man. And I think it was like, they had, like, from what I heard, Franco said that they had planned to do like at least 10 films with her or something. You know?
They did. It was, you know, a sizable contract for the time. And I'm a huge Lena Romay guy, which we'll certainly get into future Franco movies. I love her. She's probably my big cult cinema crush. But Soledad Miranda, you mentioned Edwin Fenech, like she's up there in terms of just traditional beauty. She's just so captivating. It's hard to imagine.
There's like a dark mystery behind those eyes. I don't know how to explain it, but when I see her, especially in this film, like it's damn, you know.
Yeah, she stares right through you. She's I can see how the death really affected everybody. Franco, like I said, after 1970, some lists this is 71. It gets a little confusing because it depends when it came out. His style really starts to change quite a bit. Maybe not his style so much. I mean, you always had these shots of sailboats and but they definitely get more sleazy. This is, like I said, pre-crotch zoom era of Jess. This was shot back to back with She Killed in Ecstasy. Just right when Jess Franco's having that big falling out with producer Harry Allen Towers and needed that new producer. So he was jumping headfirst into his big run, and censorship really was an issue with this. That's why he had to kind of go elsewhere outside of Spain to do this one. And so it's a Dracula story technically.
It is definitely.
Yeah,
I mean it is, except he changes a few things. He makes it, you know, it's not dark, you know, like when Uwe Stromberg's character Linda shows up, you know, she's out there in the sunlight in a bikini. She's by the swimming pool. Vampires aren't supposed to be in water and shit, you know. Like, so he changed a few things around, but it's very much, you can definitely, if you know the Dracula, Bram Stoker's Dracula, you definitely can see some of the things.
A lot of people list this as a version of Bram Stoker's Dracula's Guest, which not really, if you're familiar with the literature. It owes a lot to Carmilla, the Sheridan Le Fanu story, of course, sort of the origins of the lesbian vampire. But yeah, it's a Dracula story. Dracula figures into it. There's a lot you can pick at, because as you already touched upon, it's like, why would Dracula own a sun-soaked seaside, you know, mansion like that? I mean,
the sun don't affect her. You know, in this story, I guess vampires, and right at the first shot, right, is like one of the first shots is she's dancing in a mirror. You know, like, so she's kissing the mirror and shit. Like, It takes that.
I think with this one as well, rather than the plot, obviously you've got the Count Dracula plot and that. It's more about just seeing beautiful women, lesbian scenes. You know, you can get that's the main thing I got from it. You know, the plot just was secondary, really.
It's abstract too, though. There's some.
Oh yeah,
he's playing with certain things. You know, when you see like the blood dripping on the glass, and he's got the psychedelic music, and then and you know Franco. I mean, Franco. He's a sleazy ass character in here too. Like,
always is. Yes, always is.
Right.
Franco was always known though, like he's gonna do it the Jess Franco way.
Right.
You know, he doesn't care that he's breaking tradition as far as the sun or you know, the mirrors or anything like that. He's going to do whatever's convenient to his. And I don't mind a non-traditional portrayal of vampires. I'm not a purist when it comes to
and the fangs. There was no fangs, and the one woman that's in the insane asylum, I guess she was kind of like supposed to be kind of like Renfield, you know. And then, you know, touching on that, her insanity made Franco's character insane too, or something, like the madness spread to him or something, like that side plot, you know. But anyway, I'm kind of jumping the gun. But
oh no, that's okay. Like you really with Franco, if you want traditional narrative structure, you're not going to get it. Although little less so with this versus a lot of what would come later from Franco. This, I mean, again, this is sort of a mishmash of Dracula, Carmilla more than anything else. Carmilla was adapted in 1960 with the film called Blood and Roses. And at the exact same time that they were making this, Hammer was making an all-time classic adaptation of La Fanu's story, The Vampire Lovers, which I'm sure you two have probably seen. The Vampire Lovers. That is, maybe we will tackle some Hammer horror because that is an amazing movie. But yeah, so this is, I don't want to give anybody the impression that might be watching this that you're seeing a dirty movie. I don't consider this a dirty movie. Classy erotica, yeah,
it's nudity in it, but it's not, and it's a little sleaze, but not like what's to come from Franco.
No. This is not barbed wire dolls. So if you're looking for that, like, you're gonna be sorely disappointed. And again, it really is, because this is a period of creative freedom for Jess Franco, coming off of some of the larger budget 60s fare that he was doing with, you know, Christopher Lee and Klaus Kinski and some of these bigger names, Herbert Lohm, and that he had worked with. So, you know, he's getting a little bit more freedom to do what he wants to do. And this film, again, you may not realize it, but the score was so iconic that I believe it was featured. What was the track? The Lions and the Cucumber. It actually appears in Tarantino's Jackie Brown.
Shit! I mean, I feel like I'm on drugs when I'm listening to it. Like,
yeah. It's interesting too. Like, where do I know that music? Like, I think I saw Jackie Brown back in the day, and I was like, where do I know this music from? And it's like, oh, Vampiros Lesbos. I probably didn't figure it out until years later, but you know, much like a lot of the clips that Rob Zombie would use in his songs, I was like, oh, wait a minute, that's the Curious Dr. Hump. That's what that's from.
Yeah, pulling samples.
Yeah, so I mean,
would you like, with this one, would you say it's visually his best film, or one of his best? Because I've not seen a lot of Franco. I've seen Bloody Moon, Night of the Skull. I've seen a few of his slashes.
So
this
I
just
wouldn't
seems
say
like
it's his best.
very
No.
visually. It is amazing.
I
This
mean,
film.
I haven't seen near what Dan's seen, but I like Justine. That's Franco, right?
Oh yes,
Yeah.
that's
Justine's amazing.
Well, Darren, the true answer to your question is it's very choose your own adventure with Franco. It depends what you like, because he's tackled every genre. Franco has done horror. He's done, triple X fare. He's done action movies. He's done,
Giallo.
I mean, there are some that he's less known for, but he did it at least once. Like, he's not an action director, but he's done it. He's done comedy. He's truly done it all. Christopher Lee famously said he was on vacation in New York years later, and one of his Franco films was appearing in a seedier section of town.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And he just shrugged, and he's like, well, I guess just like Jess, I've made every kind of movie now.
But he was like pretty much like only up until a few years ago, because I haven't really dipped my toe too much in Franco, but he's frowned upon, and people say it's only now the last year or two people are starting to really, through Stephen Thrower and all the extras that are coming out with these discs, they're starting to really take take to him. And I've not seen
David
one
Gregory is a huge Franco.
Absolutely. I
think he bought him. He's got a lot coming from Severance, from what I understand. But
this is one that Jess Franco is very down on a lot of movies that he made. Like, he's one of those guys that kind of, much like a David Hess, like, I think Jess Franco was more interested in music than anything. And so many of his films, even when to a lot of people it doesn't make sense, he's just going to put that in there. Why are we getting this shot of this scorpion over and over? Maybe only he knows. You can interpret it.
I was like trying to figure that out, like, because this is like probably the fourth time I've seen this film, and I was trying to figure out, where does this, I'm like one of them kind of people. And so I was going back to that scene where she's in the pool, and she just got through feeding. And then also, if you notice, like, when something happens to the scorpion too. I'm not going to say what that is, but toward the end of the film. And
it's that first shot where the early shot where Soledad and Ewa Stromberg are just kind of like frolicking nude on the beach. It's beautiful.
Get naked. Let's just get naked and go swim. As you do.
Within minutes of meeting each other, basically, as well.
That vampire powers are strong.
Right.
And so you do have that. You have the Dracula connection. I won't, go too deep into that. They explain. But you have a lot of the characters. Dr. Seward, another character that Franco used in the past, is here running the asylum. Her boyfriend, Ewa Stromberg's boyfriend, Omar,
like
is essentially Jonathan Harker.
And then the doctor guy, he's kind of like Van Helsing, but with a
Van Helsing and Dr. Seward in one.
He wants to do something else though. Like,
and we get the Agra character, who's basically Renfield, only you kind of trade the bug eating for just furious masturbation. Is essentially so. Once again, him doing it his own way. He doesn't. The source material be damned when it comes to Jess Franco. And I think that this movie is just beautiful. One thing that Franco Yeah, and he always was able to find amazing locations. When we're in Soledad, Miranda, Countess Nadine, I should say's abode, there's a room, very like 70s chic, but like it's almost like red graduation tassels.
Yeah, just hanging from the ceiling. Yeah,
beautiful. I don't know.
Right.
Why the fuck that's there. I've never been in somebody's home that had something like that, but I don't know, he may have just found somebody with an interesting house. No clue.
That's in Turkey, right? I mean,
yeah,
it's in Turkey in the film, but I don't know if it's actually in Turkey. But
this was shot in Istanbul,
okay.
Also in Berlin, and I guess at least a small portion Spain, but basically Berlin and Istanbul, Turkey, and gorgeous locations.
It really is, man.
Yeah, it is. And Soledad Miranda's in an entirely different league as far as her acting and her screen presence that she had. Ewa Stromberg, Franco, he worked with her a few times, wasn't as fond of her.
He said she
looks great.
Yeah, he said she was a bitch. I don't know, but
she may have been. I mean, she looks great, disrobed, and that's the most important thing here. It's not, the chemistry may not be there as much between her and Soledad, but she's serviceable. Ewa Stromberg, she was kind of known for these krimi films at the time, adaptations of Edgar Wallace. We may tackle some of the krimis.
I don't mind
down the line. Yeah,
sure.
Yeah, I've not seen it, like very many of them at all.
She was a Swedish actress. Sorry, Darren, what'd you say?
No, I was just saying about the krimis. There's something we need to dive into.
I haven't really even touched the surface on those, man. I really haven't.
There's more and more of those coming out as well, and I mean, those were basically, German giallos. Essentially, you see these little cultural differences, but Ewa Stromberg, she was in the Edgar Wallace adaptations, College Girl Murders from 1967, and The Man with the Glass Eye. Those were kind of her notable roles before Vampiros Lesbos. She did go on to do X-312, The Flight from Hell, which was 2-star Soledad Miranda, but sadly, she had passed before the filming commenced on that one. And I can't remember, it might have come right before this, but right around the same time, she was also in The Devil Came from Akasaba for Franco as well. So, she worked with, where she did several films with them at this time, and she's not bad. She's not bad.
She's not. I mean, there's a scene where blood splatters on her face, and it's. I mean, I laugh my ass off every time I see it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But she's not horrible, man. She's not the worst, definitely not. But
no, usually
I'm thinking you guys. Sorry, go on, Dan. I was going to say, I'm thinking you guys probably like this a lot more than me. I mean, in terms of visuals, and the lead actress, obviously Soledad, all that I love. I think the plot is kind of secondary, like I said, with the.
Definitely.
It's not. I think it's like I said, it's more abstract, surreal, fantastic.
Yeah. Where would you both put this? Like, would you put it in as a vampire film? Would you put it in as just sexploitation, maybe?
This is I think it's a mixture. I think it's a vampire erotic, but the vampire is erotic, by
right,
for the most part. Anyway.
It's not as graphic as you might imagine. Again, there's a lot of different Franco fans out there. If you're a fan of some of the more sleazy exploitation stuff, I mean, Barbed Wire Dolls, Ilsa the Wicked Warden, that's highly, highly recommended. I love those movies. You're not getting a lot of bump and grind here. It's full nudity. It's erotic. It still falls under sexploitation, but I would consider this also just as much, more an erotic vampire movie. You know what I mean? Like it's not Vampire Lovers level, which that has, some erotic scenes, I suppose, for the time, but it's definitely in a different category than this. So this is somewhere in between. I think that the shots of Soledad are very sexy, but
I think it's tastefully done, though, isn't it? That's probably the best word to say.
It is, man. It
very
really
tastefully done. It's not sleazy, you are watching, lesbian scenes and all that, but it's not. It doesn't go to like sleazy level. I don't think. It's just,
it's not.
Stays on a good level.
Yeah,
that's the best way to say it.
He gets there. Franco, can be very, very sleazy. Very
some very extreme close-ups.
Because I'm not big up on Franco, but did he do any horror with pornographic scenes, like hardcore pornographic scenes?
Yeah.
Well, even going early, like 99 Women. Now, sometimes he didn't shoot that. Like a lot of times that was distributors that like you watch
seen that one.
Like,
like Rosal Berneri's in that. Yeah,
Rosal Berneri, absolutely.
But the version I seen of that a month or so ago had no nudity because Gizmo was on about it. I don't know whether it was cut, but
you watched a different,
okay. Sorry to cut you off then.
Oh no, it's the pornographic inserts. It's strange because a lot of times they don't really fit and they look like shit on disc. So it's like you'll be watching something, then it's like all of a sudden we'll cut to an oral sex scene that looks like it was shot in some basement outside of Rome somewhere. It's like it doesn't fit at all. It's not usually very titillating. So there's a lot of homework with Jess Franco. It's like, do you watch that cut? It depends. It was usually not shot by him, but he does do hardcore work later on, and of course Lena Romay later on as well. I'm sure we'll talk about some of that on. Don't worry, Lauren, we're not going to review some of Lena's later work, but but it'll come up again down the line, I'm sure.
I got to mention something that I didn't know that I just found out about Franco. So he was talking about Stuart Freeborn, the special effects guy for, I guess, Star Wars.
Oh,
and
yes.
And he seen Franco and he said, "You're not mad at me? You're not furious with me?" And he said, "No, why?" He said, "Because your face is the inspiration for Yoda."
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh God, man.
Yeah, I don't know. And he tells that story on the Blu-ray.
Yeah.
It could be like you look at it, it's like, oh, I can see it.
Yeah.
I definitely can see it. It's crazy. And he holds the damn Yoda thing, when it's going off, it's like, what the hell? But,
yeah. Now I can never look at Star Wars the same way. I think it's great. So yeah, no, that I thought was hilarious.
I mean, Jesus Franco Yoda.
Yeah, I will say also, if you're looking to double something up with this, and now this film is much more in the sleazy Franco realm, but it doubles well with Lorna the Exorcist, which just recently got a new Blu-ray. Yeah,
I haven't cracked it, man. So I haven't checked this one out, but I'm excited to.
You will enjoy it. Some similarities. That one again, though, is much more hard than this. But
the one I heard it paired up with a lot is She Killed in Ecstasy.
Yeah, shot back.
I probably liked a lot more than this one, but we'll get into that.
Franco had a massive passion for jazz. Jazz was like his first love more than anything else, and that's a theme that continues through his entire filmography. Even some of those later films that Sub Rosa distributed towards the end of his career, that was his first love. Much like David Hess, who I actually had the pleasure of knowing, music was their passion. And Jess made movies his way for a big chunk of his career, and not for everybody, but man, he did it his way. Even some of that Sub Rosa stuff where he was filming essentially in his own house, he still had all of his passions laid out for you on the screen. And there's just something very interesting to me about that. I don't think there's any filmmaker now that really compares to Jess Franco. I mean, you got some crazy guys out there like a Neil Breen or something that are still kind of doing movies their way, but there is no Jess Franco.
He just didn't give a shit, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
right. So I'm going to put Dan on the spot, So if you had to give me, say who's not seen a lot, I know Dirk's probably seen more than me. If you had to give 5 Franco titles that you think are must watches for the, someone getting into him, what would they be? I don't know. I'm sorry if I put you on the spot.
Oh no, that's okay. There's a lot to pull from. I'm not going necessarily best or anything, but I would say The Female Vampire for Lena Romay, which we will definitely review on this show. Female Vampire. If his sleaze is great, so I would say Barbed Wire Dolls and his Ilsa film, Ilsa the Wicked Warden, or Ilsa the Mad Butcher, or whatever title that's under. Those are a lot of fun. You kind of Awful Dr. Orloff, the first one.
Yeah,
check that out.
I just watched Dr. Hitchcock. Damn.
Yeah.
So, would you put Faceless up there with them? Because I've heard a lot of good things about that.
So Faceless, a lot of people that are into like the 80s horror, traditional 80s horror slashers, that is up there. That's a lot of people do consider that his best movie. But again, it depends what you're looking for. So that's a good 5 to start with there. Female Vampire, Awful Dr. Orloff, which was a huge breakout success for him.
Yeah.
The Elsa film. I mean, I could name drop a lot, but those are all
writing these down. The one I
Count Dracula, but I don't know if you,
right.
That's got Soledad in it as well. So,
yeah,
you've never seen it.
The first one I ever saw Franco was Bloody Moon, and I love that. Being a slasher fan, I absolutely love that. But I kind of do want to get into some of his others, so I will definitely write them down.
Faceless is better than Bloody Moon, in my opinion.
Oh, okay. That's Telly Savalas, I think. Yeah.
Telly Savalas, Carolyn Monroe. That's got a very, very good cast in it.
That's one I've been wanting to watch for the longest time. Yeah, I'll definitely get to that one.
Yeah, the new edition of that's fantastic. So, like I said, he made a lot of different kinds of films. So, yeah, check it out. He also had a very good sense of humor. Doesn't come out in everything, but there's The Sex is Crazy. That's a little more obscure, but that's with Lena, and get to see a little lighter side of Jess in that. So,
do you own the Stephen Thrower book, Dan?
Oh yeah, I do.
That's supposed to be amazing. I've got like a PDF of it, but yeah.
2 volumes. I highly, highly recommend it. That's really the definitive guide to Jess Franco. It has everything he made from the very beginning of his career. It even goes over some of the uncompleted films that he did. Some that are lost.
That Sex Charade, right? One of them.
Yeah. There's a lot that did not. There's stuff that didn't get finished. He's still got over 200 completed movies. It's just insane. So
yeah,
that book is way out of print as well. For anyone who's interested, if you go on Internet Archive, I think you can download a PDF. But I doubt if you'll get a hold of that now at a reasonable price, hardback.
I think I can't speak for the UK, but I believe the Thrower books are still in print. There's 2 big they're giant books.
It's huge, yeah.
You showed me. You sent me a picture, yeah.
Yeah, I'll take some photos for you, dear.
I'll look into that.
Yeah. I think you can still get them. They're not, considering how big they are too. They're usually not as expensive as you would think. So yeah, I'll snap some photos. There's a bunch of different books on Franco, but those are the definitive volumes. All right, so I think we covered everything. Oh, I did want to just say, since I put over the soundtrack, the jazz electronica team of Manfred Hubler and Siegfried Schwab ended up having long legs into the 90s, and if you want to get the soundtrack to Vampiros Lesbos separate, that original CD is all over eBay and not very expensive at all. So you could certainly get that for probably under $20. So guys, well, Darren, I know you're going to be a little bit lower, but what do you rate Vampiros Lesbos?
So this is kind of a hard one for me, because in terms of like literally the visuals, Soledad, an amazing performance and all that, on that level, it's kind of like almost like 2 ratings. But if I had to say, like, I would say 5 out of 10, but it's not to say I didn't enjoy it, because I did. And I mean, it's just all the lesbian scenes and all that. Any red-blooded male would, they're great without being titillation, though. Like you say, it's kind of tasteful. But it's another one this is the first time watch, so I would imagine it kind of will grow on me. But I will say I'm not a massive Dracula fan, and all that kind of stuff kind of didn't resonate with me so much. But I'd say like a solid 5, probably go up a little bit in time. Yeah.
Okay. That's good. Dirk, what say you?
Yeah, man, it's like, when I watch it though, I'm not watching it like for like a narrative type story, you know what I mean? I it's like an atmosphere,
right?
Pure atmosphere.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah.
Mood. It's Soledad, really. That's
it is. Yeah.
Like you said earlier, Darren. That's really the main reason I'm watching this film. And what's that actress we didn't even mention that, the one actress that she's acting like a mannequin, and they're like doing a theater in front of an audience. I didn't write her name down, but she is absolutely stunning. She is beautiful.
Hydran Kusin plays Agra, the Renfield character, and
that's Agra. Yeah. That's the same woman?
No,
you know what I'm talking about in the theater part? Like,
I'm trying to think of her name. I'll be honest, I don't know it off the top of my head, because it's a smaller
but
role.
It's a small role, but gosh damn, she is
that image is quite iconic as well, because I've never seen the film before.
Yeah,
but I've seen that image all the time. In the night. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's so disturbing, because it's like, not disturbing, but like she's got her under her charm, is the way I interpret it, and in front of this audience and shit. But I don't mean to keep running on about it, but
no, that's okay. No, did you rate it?
8.5 out of 10. I'll give it.
Wow, wow.
Yeah, man. But it's like I said, it's the way that it's shot. It's all the locations. I'm acting, man, from everybody. Like, I don't really see no bad acting anywhere.
But did you feel like that on your first watch, though, Dirk?
I absolutely fell in love.
Straight away then. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think at first I gave it a 7 out of 10. but
yeah.
Like I said, I've seen it. This is like my 4th time seeing it, and it's just like I don't know, man.
Gets better and better,
It just keep going up for me, I think.
Right.
But with Jess Franco, I mean, this is definitely among his better films. And I know it's going to sound like a high rating because some people out there might give this a 4. Like, I realize that, and that just depends what you like. But I'm a 9. I've loved this one since I was a kid. I can't give it a 10 because but it is a 9 for me just because. Always been in love with Soledad, is very much in love with Lena Romay, and I just think it hits for me. A lot of things you can pick at if you're looking for a traditional vampire story. This is not it. If you're looking for action or gore, this is not it. So
it's very, very experimental, maybe psychedelic.
It is, visually it's an amazing, I know my rating is very low, but or kind of middle of the road, but visually and all that stuff is amazing. Just not purely on that level. So
it really is something. And let us know in the comments, like, what are some of your favorite Jess Franco films? Because you could answer your question, Darren, a lot of different ways, really. Because again, he did so
many as well.
Different things.
So again, Dan, not going to go too off subject, but what's your thoughts on Night of the Skull and the Spanish Jali free set that come out recently?
Oh, I like that set. Not a lot of A-list titles on the set, if I'm being honest. Night of the Skull is not. Night of the Skull is on the lower end of Jess Franco. Do I still enjoy it? Yes, but that's also just because I'm a Franco mark. But it's not a very good movie. So if that's like your cherry buster for Jess Franco, don't let that dissuade you, because even a fan like me, that's much lower. It has its moments,
but it's kind of toned down as well.
It's not breaking new ground. It's it's like a 10 Little Indians story.
And he's completely toned down everything in that as well, like the violence, the sexual aspect, and all.
Well, I think it's Spain rules, law.
Well, because we covered it last week.
Right.
Franco had zero interest in slashers, which is ironic because if you do like those movies, he had no interest in doing slashers. He's talked about that in several interviews. So some of his favorite stuff is more in line with the Vampiros Lesbos. That's kind of what he enjoyed.
So do you think Bloody Moon was his answer to Friday the 13th, maybe just to get it done away?
Yeah.
I love that film. I love it.
So.
He would do whatever. I mean, he was very much somebody that would jump on a trend to make a buck. And
gun for hire, right?
Absolute gun for hire, but still snuck his stuff in.
Oh yeah, he's still gonna do what he's gonna do.
So I'm really eager to talk about our next film because this is from Jean Rollin. Some people call it, I know Jean, but I say Jean. A lot of
Jean
people
Rollin, man.
Rollin. Yeah. So I'm American. It's Jean Rollin.
Yeah, it's Jean.
Grapes of Death. Yeah. That's close enough. That works. So these two filmmakers are often compared. Now, Franco, if you set aside Rollin's porn titles, which he did a lot of XXX films that he essentially used to finance what he really wanted to do. He was somebody who made adult movies as a means to an end to make his more artistic surreal vampire stuff and other films. Now, if somebody as big of a Jess Franco mark as I am, if somebody asked me, well, who is the better filmmaker, I have to go with Rollin, because I think the
Yeah.
quality. Now, that's not to say you're going to like him more, though.
Right.
That's the thing. Like it's
Technically speaking, probably. Yeah.
Technically speaking, absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, Fascination, Lips of Blood. I mean, wow. But you know, they still have a lot of similarities as well. So I'll talk a little bit more about that. I'm getting ahead of myself, but Grapes of Death, if you're unfamiliar, is a 1978 film from Jean Rollin, and the polluted wine produced for a village's annual grape harvest festival has left all but a few rabid with some chemically engineered form of zombieism. They may saunter about like sleepwalkers, but these are not the zombies of George Romero's Night of the Living Dead. They are rather oozing transmitters of an impassioned insanity that can only be termed anarchy. It seems odd to well, this one kind of goes past the synopsis. We'll get there. But so a lot of people list this as the first French zombie film. It is not. That actually goes way, way back to 1919. A film way, way back. Yeah. A film called J. Accuse, which was a French silent zombie film about the horrors of World War I, and featured soldiers rising from the grave. The director was Abel Gance, who I might be saying that name wrong. But in fact, really, that predated White Zombie by 13 years, which...
That's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Learn something new every day.
It did, yes. Going way, way, way back there. So Grapes of Death was also known as Pesticide, which you might have seen it.
Raisins of Death.
Yep. It's it's different. Now, if this is a film that you're going into and you're more familiar with Rollin's vampire stuff, very different tone. I think this will probably satisfy a lot of gore fans, which was not Rollin's thing at all.
This is his first time to do gore in a film, right?
Essentially, yeah.
Well, I mean, that's I guess that's what he said, but you know, and like it's the first film he said that he actually had a budget. So, another thing that's crazy is like these zombies, I guess you'd say, they have a conscience. So, like when they do something bad or they hurt somebody they love, they're laughing and they're sad, they're crying at the same time. It's so fucking insane. Like, you know,
more disturbing, I would say, too. Like, I love the classic Romero zombie, the slow shamblers, but there is something a little bit more disturbing about somebody that's still, the person is still kind of in there. They're just fucking evil.
I mean, that's what I liked about this one, because it's not, like you say, it's not like a George Romero clone. It does its own thing. And I was surprised. And again, this is probably the first film I've seen by the director. And I really like, I really like this one. Cool. I mean, I'm sure we'll come on to some of the scenes and that. But the whole thing is as well that some of them don't even show symptoms as well, which is is kind of really freaky.
Like what's the, well, I'm not gonna mention her yet, but she, to me, who's the standout to y'all? I mean, to me, it's this woman on the cover. Playing dang, what's her name?
Lucy.
Yeah, Lucy and Luca.
And do you think Lucio Fulci seen that? You know, do you think Lucio Fulci seen the cover, like, or you know, with the Beyond?
Because I mean, it's very possible he's seen the film. You know. But
very iconic, like you say, cover.
she's like a ghost wandering through this night, and she don't have her guide. You know, she's like this ghost-like looking figure, and but yeah, I'm kind of jumping the gun. My bad, John.
Oh no, that's okay. That's okay. It's yeah. I have a lot to say about her because I think that was just really cool. You still get the trademark Rollin eye for visuals here. I mean, just the foggy drawbridge. There's a direct homage to Barbara Steele and Black Sunday. Bridget Lahaie, who I'll talk about here in a minute. She has a scene directly out of that with the hounds, and it visually Rollin is hard to match by anybody. He just his films are like looking at a painting. And
really is.
This is very different because again, this is a gore film that fits right in there with the zombie films of the time. Of course, Dawn of the Dead came out the same year. Rollin doesn't consider this a Night of the Living Dead ripoff, and I agree because his zombies are conscious of what they're doing.
Right.
Which, if this is getting more modern, but if you enjoy graphic novels, I highly recommend a series called Crossed, which it's a zombie-like virus, but it doesn't. You don't lose your memories or anything. It just makes you evil. And that's really some of the most graphic shit I have ever seen in any kind of comic. I mean, it makes you evil. You do horrible, horrible things in that series. So I kind of like that. This is kind of an early take on that. And also makes this, if there's a Romero comparison, it's really more the Crazies than Night of the Living Dead.
I would say so too.
See that. Yeah. I mean, with this film,
but they snap back too, though. You know what I mean? Like after they do something, they're not just completely gone. They genuinely start tripping out and then they want to kill themselves and shit, or they want somebody to kill them. It's crazy as hell. But
it's like I was going to say without jumping the gun, but I think the first like 20 minutes, on the train and all that stuff is superb.
Oh, it's great.
I mean, like the isolation as well when she comes off the train. I just think it just hits, and I'm sure we're going to come into it, but I think it hits a little bit of a lull in the middle. Otherwise, it would have got a higher mark for me. But all that opening stuff, I love.
I love all the scenery though. Everything's like on location. It looks like everything's on location. I'm just guessing.
Yes,
but
yes.
I mean, it looks very old country, old world kind of. The atmosphere with Rollin is phenomenal. I mean, it really is.
Yeah.
Kind of almost feels like Tombs of the Blind Dead a little bit as well.
It does.
The train and everything. This is a more conventional narrative than Rollin's other films. Obviously we're trading the sensuous vampires for these really ugly and vicious zombies. And once again, he did have a budget to work with here that afforded him those gore effects, which I have to put over. They imported Alfredo Tiberi from Italy. He was very prolific. He worked on From Beyond, the Stuart Gordon film. Dolls, also for Stuart Gordon. He did Ghoulies 2, Caligula. Caligula, Lady Hawk. Even more mainstream fare like Popeye, but he also did Salo, In the Folds of the Flesh.
Holy shit.
And Red Knights of the Gestapo. He worked at all levels of film, and I put him over because I'll say this again, not as avant-garde as Rollin's previous work. He probably one of my all-time favorite gore scenes, which once again Rollin was not known for in his movies. So don't get disappointed visiting some of his other stuff. But the scene, and I keep forgetting the blind girl's name, but
Lucy.
The scene, yeah, I think it was Lucy. The scene where, slight spoiler alert, but
yeah.
So again, just the idea of her being blind when they're going through her village.
Yeah.
And our lead, Elizabeth, by the way, played by Marie Pascal, who is fantastic.
She is. She really is. And she's leading her, and she's lying to her the whole fucking time. She's like, no, don't worry. Everything's okay. She's like, no, you're lying to me. I can tell.
These rotting bodies and that are just all over the place. Such great atmosphere, and minor spoilers. It's pretty obvious. Things don't end too well for poor Lucy. There's a scene where she pops up out of nowhere. She's been crucified to a door. The door swings open, so it's a good scare.
Yeah.
And I think, for my money, now I don't know if he was technically a caretaker or boyfriend or exactly what he was, but so she's crucified to this door. We get this big scare with Elizabeth, Marie Pascal's character. And then, in my opinion, probably a top 2 or 3 in terms of decapitation scenes on film. He decapitates her with a hatchet. The makeup is great in this shot.
But what he's saying when he's doing it, he's like, I love you, Lucy. And it's in French. So I don't know. That adds to it for me. That being in French. And he's like, I love you, Lucy. And then he's like, this disturbing laugh that he has. It's like, it is. It's so fucked up.
It's such a great scene. Yeah. The thing is, though, it doesn't look hokey either, does it? You know, it does stand up even today. I found, you know,
it really does.
Makeup.
Yeah. I mean, we've all seen decapitations in horror movies. We've seen Jason lob heads off, and it's fun.
Yeah.
But this almost looked real. This particular sequence, just with a hatchet, and it's not immediate either. It's you know, kind of the way he has to hack, which is how it would go. You don't normally, or I would imagine you don't normally take a head off with one shot. And so like that is just amazing, and he carries the head around.
Yeah,
so
he's just walking around with after that shit, and it's like that is some creepy, genuine creepy shit. When you see all them people like on the landscape and the fog and the night, you know, and it's
it is.
Damn.
He doesn't sacrifice his eye for visuals and just mood by doing a different kind of film at all, in my opinion. I mean, I love this movie. And again, more of a traditional narrative. Maybe it's the ending, I guess you could say, is a little ambiguous as far as what you want to make of it. But it's in my opinion, this is among my favorites. My favorites as far as zombie movies go. Now, Rollin did do 2 other zombie movies. He did Zombie Lake, which
I've seen that one. Yeah, which is bad.
It's very bad. Yeah, very, very bad. It has its moments, a lot of nudity, but not a good movie. And he also did Living Dead Girl, which I would recommend. But but you know, Grapes of Death is just stellar in my personal opinion.
This is probably the first time I've seen Bridget Lahaie properly in a film. You know, I've
Bridget
seen
Lahaie.
Bridget
I've seen some of her, like
you said, Bridget Lahaie.
Yeah, maybe that was the wrong way to say it.
Depending on the movie, that's accurate.
I've seen a pornographic film, so maybe that was in my head subconsciously.
Yeah.
But
I had a chance to meet her, and I regret not doing it now. But
yeah,
she proves she can act. You know, not just
she can act her ass off. Literally.
Yeah, I was surprised.
She can.
Man, She is that character is something else, though, right? That little funny little smirk, like it's just so fucked. Like.
I mean, full frontal as well. She looks absolutely stunning. Like,
oh yeah,
like in her prime.
You can tell she's comfortable in her own skin.
Yeah,
it helps. I mean, it doesn't really happen so much now, unfortunately, because it does kind of mark you. But there were a lot of adult actors and actresses that you had to be able to act. They were still movies. They still had plots back then. And I cannot share it because it does have nudity, but the book on Bridget Lahaie that you could buy through Severin or was it Severin? Yeah, but it's a great book.
I should have got that, and I could have got that book with her signature for $50.
Yeah.
I regret that shit.
It's a great book. Like I said, little explicit, so I'm not gonna go grab it. But this was actually her first non-adult film, which the filmography can get a little bit confusing because it's not always exactly accurate to when she made it. She had actually worked with Rollin previously. He directed Bridget Lahaie in a hardcore film called Sensual Vibrations, and fell in love with her. I mean, he just considered her like the ultimate when it came to just a woman. It was his ideal, and he thought she would be perfect for horror films. So you're seeing her for early work here with Grapes of Death. It was a nightmare shoot for her at times. She said it was so cold that she couldn't even get her lines out, and you see how she was dressed or undressed in this movie. It was bitter cold. That decapitation scene was amazing, but I know they said there were some issues with prosthetics because they were just freezing onto the actor's face. So there might be a couple shots that aren't as realistic as they might have otherwise been. I think everything looks really good here, but but once again, if you are a gore hound, I can recommend this because the gore is really, really strong. And this is something else that was saved by physical media, because until the Synapse DVD, you couldn't even find an English sub version of this movie. In fact, I saw it in gray market days. I did not see this movie in English when I first got to check it out. It still kind of works. You can still kind of follow it.
I've done that with a few movies, and it sucks. But I mean,
it really does. I mean, but it's still the mood's there, and that version of it I had then was really shitty. So I'm not getting a feel for the mood like I normally would, but it still worked for me. I'm still a fan all these years later, and
you notice this the one character. I'm not gonna say because I don't want to spoil the film, but you notice the one character drinks wine. And then later on, do you think that character was like, just like
I think so.
Else?
Yeah, because it affected the men easier. And I kind of like that, because I feel like if something like this happened, that's probably how it would be,
it's funny too, because the beer drinkers aren't affected. So
just don't drink wine, I guess.
They're like, fuck the wine.
It's Rollin, to me, I think, is a genius. Now, I when it comes to his movies, I highly recommend the 4Ks and Blu-rays as well that Indicator is putting out for him. I'm assuming, I think they pretty much have his entire catalog, not necessarily the XXX stuff, but Fascination, everything it looks so good, better than it should look. In all honesty, I mean, it's as far as the last year, or maybe some came out technically last year, I would say some of the best quality 4Ks I've seen, and worth the double dip for me.
They are, man. Like,
yeah,
that Night of the Hunted was excellent. I mean, it really was. That's the only one that I've gotten. I need to get the rest. I have Fascination, the Kino. Is that a big upgrade, you say?
I think so. Yeah. Okay. If as long as you have, 4K TV and everything, it is. Yeah, I think they've outdone themselves. They don't get enough credit for what they're doing. Indicator's not, one of those labels that gets the love that they should be, but they're putting out some really good stuff. I don't have it yet, but I know they put out Patrick, the Aussie film, on 4K.
Yeah. Love that movie.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to pick that up myself as well. So yeah, no, this movie, if you are a zombie fan from the golden era, the gory zombie era, I should say, you have to see this. A lot of people slept on Grapes of Death, and that maybe that you don't prefer some of his vampire, more abstract films, but
this is more straightforward, like you said. Yeah,
it really is. It really is. It's a safe bet, and like I said, he did a couple other zombie films. Don't let Zombie Lake scare you away.
Oh man, that's hilarious, that film.
Yeah.
The writing with the Nazi soldiers and all that. But with this, funny enough with me with this one, this is nothing to what I was expecting. I was kind of expecting even like really poor, low budget, or like what you would like see what some of Franco's stuff would be.
Uh-huh.
And I was like pleasantly surprised. And I'm not a big like zombie fan either. I do like.
Yeah, I'm not either. I'm not a big zombie guy, but I mean,
this one just did it differently, and I was surprised. I didn't give it a massively high score, which we'll come on to, but I mean, I did enjoy it. I did like it a lot. Yeah. So what would you guys rate this? Hey?
I'll give this one, man, like an 8 out of 10 for me. I really do.
Okay.
I'm a 9 out of 10.
Okay.
I think it's just got great sequences of horror. And there's nudity, but I wouldn't even call this like an erotic film or anything.
No, not at all. But it's mood, atmosphere, fantastic genre.
Right.
I'm not trying to beat that over the head, but this actress, damn, I know I wrote her name down. Damn it.
Marie Pascal, the lead, Elizabeth.
She's great, but Mirella Rancelot, her.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel for this character. I feel so bad for this character because she can't see what the hell's going on, and she knows. She just knows this shit ain't right.
Something awful has happened. She can smell the flesh, and
and all these people. One scene, all these people are around her, and she's like, "You want to do harm to me?" And it's I don't think this works if I heard an English track with this film.
There's great sequences of horror in here. It's something that he would return to later on if you're familiar with his filmography. But the zombie with the giant scythe, he's trying to slash at people.
He's got his shirt on backwards. You notice that shit?
Yeah, it's
there's
powerful.
A couple little funny moments. Like I laugh out loud. The one guy where he's banging his head on the car window. Like,
yes.
I don't know. That shit's hilarious.
I mean, not being a zombie, like a big zombie fan, I would give this like a very high kind of 6, like bordering on a 7, 6.5.
Okay.
And that's pretty good for me, I think, with the, certainly with a zombie film and that. But it's like the atmosphere and the whole like sense of dread as well,
Oh yeah.
It's fantastic. Yeah. Just that little bit of a lull. Otherwise, I think I would in the middle. I would have given it a little bit higher.
Yeah, I think a strong ending too. This one,
absolutely. Yeah,
I do too. I like that how it ends. It's I don't think it could end any other way.
No. So add this to your zombie list, guys. If you are a big fan of zombie films, I think it is a must see. It's up there. Tombs of the Blind Dead's a personal favorite of mine, and doubles up well with the Blind Dead films, or anything else. You can knock out Rollin's zombie films together if you want. I think that also kind of hurts this one though, because a lot of people saw Zombie Lake. That was widely available, so it's like,
maybe that's what held me off. Maybe that's what held me off on this one. But that's so different.
I haven't seen Zombie Lake, so
if you want to just have a fun, just a fun, take the mick out of all the plot holes and all that, it's great, just to sit back and just have a bit of fun with. But as a film, and if you want like everything structured and everything right, then that thing does nothing, none of them.
It's if you're gonna have bad movie night, you can pair up Zombie Lake with Jess Franco's Oasis of the Zombies.
I've seen that as well, and that's bad. Okay.
Yeah, another not so great Franco film, but again, always moments. So yes, that brings us to the end of another episode. I don't know exactly what we'll be doing next, but you can also, as always, leave suggestions for us in the comments. We're always down for that. We've definitely got more Polizio Teschi. If you listen to our last episode, we'll have more of that coming your way. We'll have some slashers. The weather's getting nice now. Maybe depends where you are, but generally speaking. So I know we're going to have some Sasquatch movies at some point that we're going to do.
Yeah, for sure.
Makes sense. So yeah, you'll be getting a little bit of everything from the channel. Once again, you can find me on Flesh Wound Features and Region Free, of course, right here on Visited by Voices. I'm all over the place. S'mores Indoors. Catch me all over the place. And of course, you can find Dirk and Darren on Subjective Perspective Collective. And anything else you guys want to promote?
Yeah. Well, we do the Eurocult on Dead Pit every 2 weeks. So that's usually in the morning on a Sunday. And and I'm on Gizmos, Video Manning Gizmos. There's Something Rotten in the Collection. It's where we talk about 5 films that people suggest out of our collection that we haven't seen. So,
okay, absolutely. Sub to all that. And guys, we hope you have a great time. Check out all the other content here on Visited by Voices, and we will see you back here for another fright-filled episode. Goodbye.
Bye, guys. Bye, guys.
Later now.
Still recording what I can see, but
yeah. Well, he can cut everything. Let's see. End recording.